Okay guys, hopefully you just watched the last video I made, and let's see what part 2 is all about here. So again, I went into quadratics, multiplying, and factoring. Now guys, what I want to remind you once again, as I've said many times, factoring is one of the most important things you got to learn from me this year. It just keeps coming up over and over again throughout the rest of your math career. I'll just leave it at that. So this is definitely worth practicing some more, okay? Now, what I did, of course, is I scrolled down. The last video I did quiz 2, because we already done quiz 1 before, at least once or twice. And then I noticed, look at this, I haven't done quiz 3. So that's why I assigned that one to you, just from extra practice. Let's get started. This is quiz 3. Again, it's only 5 questions. Here we go. They want us to factor. Now, guys, you got to know that that's a factor of 2 squareds. What do we mean by that is 36 is 6 squared. And, of course, x squared is literally x squared. So, if you recognize that, guys, this is a simple problem, because all I need to do is just take 6 plus the x and then 6 minus the x. Now, could you have done 6 minus x first, then 6 plus x second? Sure. The computer will accept either one of these answers, okay? Now, I also hope you understand why differences of squares works the way it does, because if we go ahead and do the math here with the area model, as some of you guys like to do, notice how 6 times 6, of course, is 36. Minus x times x is your minus x squared. That's what we had to begin with. Now, what happens in the middle is, right here, hopefully you see I get a minus 6x, and down here I get a positive 6x, and 6 minus 6 is 0. So with the difference of 2 squares, the middle term, the x term in this case, cancels itself out. That's how it works. All right, let's get going here. Here's the second one they gave me. Now again, they have it all backwards. No big deal. But this is another tricky one, guys. Look at the numbers. See how they're all even? Let's start by dividing out a 2. 2 times 64 is 128. Minus 16x times 2 is minus 32x. Plus x squared times a 2 is plus 2x squared. So hopefully all I did was divide out a 2, guys. I divided each of those numbers by 2. Now this is much easier to factor. Now we're going to go ahead and use the x method again. All right. Now notice you always times the first with the last coefficient. And that's 64. That's going to be our product number. The middle term is minus 16. All right, let's see here. How about 8 times 8 for 64? Now I need a negative 16. So I'm going to do negative 8 to get negative 16. And negative times the negative is a positive 64. So I have my answer. My answer is going to be the 2. Again, don't forget the 2 GCF we did at the beginning. And then the minus 8's just tell me, I got to be careful here. Yeah, we'll just say x minus 8 times x minus 8. And that should be the correct answer. The computer should accept that. Let me just mentally do it, check in my head. Yeah, it works out. Okay. Now, the other thing you could have done, guys, is since this was backwards, you could have just flipped it around, right? Notice I did not change any signs. I just rearranged them. I put the x squared first and the 64 last. I did not change any signs, so that's why it works that way. All right, let's try another one. This one's more straightforward, right? I'm going to do my x. 2 times 3 is 6. Don't forget to times the first with the last. If you're doing the x method, notice the 7x in the middle for my sum. The only way this is going to work, guys, is 1 times 6 is 6. And the 1 plus the 6 is 7, right? So notice my answer is going to be parentheses, x plus 1, x plus 6. But wait a minute. There is a 2 in front. So we need a 2 either here or there. How do we make that happen? Is we're going to go ahead and divide this by 2. So we can times this by 2, so we're not really changing the value of the expression. All right, so what you're actually going to type in there is 2x plus 1 with an x plus 3. Don't forget to do the divide, guys, as well as times there. All right, let's try another one. They gave us an area problem again. It's a square. What they're telling you is this side and this side are the same, right? So we're going to factor this where both numbers are the same. Actually, we actually did this one once before, didn't we? So notice what we're going to do here, guys, is we're going to go ahead and let's just go ahead and rearrange this. X squared minus 16x plus. Notice I did not change signs. And now hopefully it looks normal. I'm going to do a 64 there. A minus 16 for my sum. It's going to be minus 8 again. So they just want one of the sides. So you're just going to type in x minus 8. But understand that both sides are each x minus 8. Okay? All right. Let's see if I have another one here. Yes, I do. Now, guys, before we try to factor this one, look at the numbers. Is there a possibility we could divide by 3? Yes, we can. Now, if you use your calculator, 108 divided by 3 is 36. And, of course, 3x squared divided by 3 is simply x squared. So once I factor out the 3, hopefully you recognize that as a difference of 2 squares. So our final answer is going to be 3. Then we have our parentheses. 36 is 6 times 6. The x squared is x times x. To get the minus and also no middle x terms, we're going to do 1 plus and 1 minus. And that's how you factor, guys. And the more you practice factoring, guys, the better you're going to get at it. Okay? You can't get good at anything unless you practice it. So, guys, hopefully this video helped you. This was, again, quiz number 3 in quadratics, multiplying, and factoring. See you around.